I know
Ooh.
we had gotten a golden cross, I believe, on the daily chart. What kind of weight do you put into these death cross, golden cross? What should we expect as far as price action moving forward?
Yeah, so I'm not a huge fan of death crosses or golden crosses overall in technical trading, right? The main reason is because they're so publicized by the media that, and it's kind of, you notice the coin, right? The death cross, da, 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 or the golden cross. So it's really, it's more of a media thing. The only time I pay attention to death crosses or golden crosses is when price is coming into that cross at the exact time it's crossing. So I don't know if you guys can show my chart here, but basically, like, all right, so let's imagine here's a death cross, right? So the death cross is right at this pivot point right in the middle. The only time that it's important is when price is coming up to it. Then that's a no-brainer short where it's going to fall to the downside. So those type of situations I really pay attention to. But like you said, golden cross on the daily, a death cross on the weekly, how do you even figure that one out when there's multiple signals in both? The one thing I will tell you is that I haven't bought this rally, meaning I don't buy that all of a sudden we're in a new bull market yet in crypto, right? So the main issues I have is that while this was an absolutely remarkable rally up, in the scheme of things, if you zoom out on the chart, it's still a relatively small move, and you could arguably say that this move here is the same size as this move here. I mean, it's not much different in dollar amount to the upside. For me, it's nice to see, but it was coming off of the December kind of tax loss selling. So once December's over and people have sold for tax purposes to reduce what they owe the government, there's just naturally this void of sellers. So it allows for rallies to take place in the stock market, in the crypto space. And then again, we don't have transparency. We hear, now Kraken's being targeted. We hear all these other things. And so at this point, I'm not ready to buy the whole narrative of, we're now in a new bull market and here we go. I want to see more proof of it before I put myself behind that. And what I didn't like about this rally is that we literally, what did we go up 35% off the lows? You had the same bullish sentiment in the market that we had it when we were at 65,000. And that people jumped on the bull bandwagon far too fast. If you go back to 2001 after the dot-com collapse, 2009, the first move in any beginning of a bull market that occurs, most people are scared about that first move. It's too scary. They think, oh my goodness, this has to be a fake out. In this situation with crypto, everyone was like, new bull market, here we go. Here it goes back to all-time highs. That's a dead indicator it's not a new bull market, right? People haven't been gone through the despair and the kind of the giving up phase of a bear market. So that, coupled with the fact that we now need to establish ourselves and actually make higher highs, that would be something that would get my attention. So just looking back at the chart again here, we can see that we did take out, so the one positive here, and this is what's interesting, right? So this area here, and let me just draw some rectangles here. So this area right here, that was where FTX collapse began. Here, notice how when we came back to that, it was resistance. It was tough for the markets to break through, but eventually it did. Look at where we find ourselves back to, right at that same level. So this is an important level for Bitcoin. If there's one level you're following that could tell us there's a bull market here, if this level holds and we can go take out the high right here from which was around 24,300, that would be a positive. If this yellow line breaks and price starts trading below, you're honestly probably headed back to sub 20,000 on Bitcoin. So this level, again, we'll call it like 21,400. Watch to see if that level holds for the next week or so. If it doesn't hold and we break, be very careful.
I think you've said 12K and then 10 to 14K. Are you still in that camp, or do you think the bottom is in?
No, I actually am still in the camp that we still have some further downside to go. Yeah, definitely in that camp. Again, just because I haven't seen the flush out, and one of the biggest concerns I have about the crypto market is not that we're not going to get regulation and transparency. It's actually my worry about the overall economy and then the impact on the stock market. So what I'm seeing coming in the future is that we're going to slip into a recession, right? Probably second half of 2023, we go into a recession. The markets are going to turn to the Federal Reserve and say, okay, could you print us out of this recession like you've done every down move in the economy over the last 15, 16 years? And the Fed is going to say, guys, we would love to, but the problem is inflation's still, let's say, 3% or 3.5%. So we can't. Now the market's faced with what I would say is like this long, drawn-out recession period where earnings are going down. And you might say, well, what the heck do earnings have to do with crypto? Well, the problem is if investors start to dump stocks, so if we see a mass exodus of risk assets, it's hard to imagine crypto doesn't get caught in that wave. For this market to finally bottom, you need clarity, you need transparency, and you need basically the ability to understand what the rules are. And for like, a mom and pop buying a half or a quarter or a third of a Bitcoin, I don't think it matters that much. It's kind of like a long shot, like a lottery ticket. But we have to remember that as much as we don't want to have it be this way, institutional money, big money, the billions, the trillion-dollar players, they're the ones that are going to push crypto in one direction or the other, right? So those players are not coming near this space with significant money. And it's not that they don't want to. I think that deep down, hedge fund managers, they want to be involved in crypto. They see lots of potential upside in crypto, but they can't do it legally, right? They have this fiduciary responsibility. And once FTX collapsed, they're in this position of saying, well, I don't want to get in trouble for putting money into crypto. And then the SEC comes out and says, hey, this is illegal or this can't be done, AKA what they just did to Kraken, right? So I think that's the bigger issue. So I do agree that until this cloud is out of the way, people should expect Bitcoin and crypto overall to not have a major bull run. One of the things I learned is the most important thing I ever learned is go into every trade assuming you're going to be wrong, right? And I know that sounds weird, but by doing that, you limit the amount of capital you expose on your first buy, and you give yourself ammunition to buy again if you're wrong or if it goes lower. So for instance, with Bitcoin, I love Bitcoin long term. So when I do buy into it for a longer term play, I'm going to say, all right, I'll buy 1/6 of my position here. Then if it goes another 3,000 lower, I'll do another. And just by changing your mentality, you become a better investor, because investors that believe they're going to be right on their first buy throw everything they have at that trade, and then they get wiped out.